Me, if you would please. Yesterday, I got a picture from 1953, Easter of 1953 at the old church, and people standing out in front of it. And so it was kind of exciting because I can tell you, a lot of those folks that are in that picture are still around. And a matter of fact, they're still in this church, several of them. And so it was kind of exciting to see that, see families and still represented. You know, I grew up in Los Angeles, and one of the things about that dynamic of living in that culture, Los Angeles, grew up in Highland Park. I was born in Alhambra, down in the LA area. Here's the thing, when you get older, you move away. And when you grow old and you retire, you sell your house and move away. Everybody moves away. But you know what I noticed here? Nobody moves away. And if they do, they come back. It's just very true about Caruthers thinking. And so that's kind of exciting to me because I love history. I love family history. And to see that, to see Griffins in that picture, to see G's in that picture, to see Atwells in that picture. So many families, Condits represented. We have a whole bunch of Condits here today, even though they don't have a Condit last name anymore. There were so many in that picture. You know, it was so exciting to see that and to know those families are still around and still well represented in Caruthers, but also still well represented in this church. And it's kind of exciting. And so I'm looking forward to the next year. Daniels and Schwartz, there was a whole bunch of them in there. I tell you, just that way. But so excited to see what God's going to bring back. I actually talked to Greg Marr. He is the grandson of Pastor Marr, who pastored here in the 60s when they built this church. Matter of fact, he headed up that project. And he's going to come and speak for us when we have that time. And so I'm excited about that as well. Today, conquering the green-eyed monster. The master, disciple, or teacher-student relationship in Chinese society is a hierarchical one. The teacher is the superior and the student is the subordinate. For centuries, the Kung Fu master, the greatest chefs, and the best physician do not teach their students everything that they know for fear that one day their students' skill, their students' knowledge and expertise might surpass the teachers themselves. So they'll hold back. The sayings include this that we've heard in our society: the student triumph over the master, or the back waves pushing the front ones, or the tail wagging the head of the dog. Rare it is the master that graciously transfers the entirety of techniques or of secret manuscripts or of best recipes to their students. It is rare. Saul, the king, was jealous of David, the man who would be king. And he did all that he could and in his power to stop David. He did not want David to make a mark. He didn't want him to take his place. He didn't want him to gain the respect and the loyalty and the affection of the people all around him. However, the more that he tried to stop David, the more popular David became. Shakespeare called jealousy a green-eyed monster. The Germans associate pale with jealousy. The Swedes become black-sick with jealousy. And the Chinese go red with jealousy. The word jealous comes from the word zeal. A jealous person guards everything with excessive zeal, whether it is status or the secret to their success. The jealous person is afraid that someone is going to steal something from him or her. When we think of the word jealousy, it has a negative connotation to it, and it should. But why is being jealous negative? I want to talk about that a little bit this morning. Jealousy kind of pervades our society, and it comes in at times that's very subtle. Sometimes we don't even recognize it. And hopefully after this morning, you will have a better sense of it. It will help you to understand or to see it in your life when it comes and tries to raise its ugly head. Why is it negative? First of all, people become defensive when they're jealous. In verses 5 through 9 again, the rise of David and the opposition of Saul was literally an eye-opener. In our text this morning, Jewish eyes were smiling on David. The word pleased is the Hebrew noun for eyes. But Paul watched David as if his life depended upon it. He kept a jealous eye on David. I want you to remember where we're at in this particular scripture. This is right after David has taken the head off of Goliath. You all know the story, and when he took the small stone and he sunk it deep into the head of the giant, and then he went and cut his head off. Well, immediately following that particular event, it says that the armies followed David, and David with the head of Goliath on his horse took off, and they chased down the Philistines, chasing them all the way back to the coast, killing 100,000 plus Philistines as they did that day. They have come back into the city, and the ladies have come down from all around the towns. You see, the Philistines had been badgering them for some time, had been giving them such grief, and now all of a sudden the Philistines have been cleared out of the picture, and everybody's excited, and everybody is happy except for King Saul. King Saul was happy enough to see David go down and challenge Goliath. He was happy enough to give him his blessing as he went down to do so. But now all of a sudden, because all of the women are praising what David had done, he suddenly becomes jealous. The NIV uses the word eye as a noun, but the Hebrew text recorded it as a verb. Saul eyed David. And from that day on, and with this is the only time in all of Scripture that eye is used as a verb in the Bible. From that we can deduce then that Saul was probably the most jealous biblical character. For what reason did Saul give David the jealous eye? For no reason or no fault of David at all. David had never invited or never had asked to be invited into Saul's home. He never took matters into his own hands. He never offered suggestions on what to do or how to govern. He never thought or told Saul who he should fight. He just always did what Saul sent him out to do. Success did not change David. He was not tired or disgusted with having to come and play the harp for King Saul. But Saul eyed him like a hawk. Here was an eager and loyal young man, David, and he was willing to put his life on the line and even take an arrow or a spear for the king, his master. And yet David's success was not a curse. It was a blessing that Saul turned and corrupted and twisted into a curse. The unranked soldier did not do anything wrong or shameful, nor was he out of line or out of order. He did not promote himself. He did not court success. He did not try to curry favor. And even when he was promoted, no one else ever complained about it. All of the citizens applauded the king's actions, and uncharacteristically, even the overlooked soldiers that were around, the officers that were there in Saul's company, never complained about David being risen to the place that he was. They beamed with pride as David came of age. They did not take offense to David's rapid rise to the top. One day, however, all went wrong as the women came out and sang their song. They sang the wrong chorus. Their song was not music to Saul's ears. The fact that they were there to meet and greet Saul did not even matter to him. If you look, it says that they came to greet him. They came out to greet King Saul. He came in at the head of the procession. David behind him was still the head of Goliath hanging from the horse. We sometimes clean up scripture so much, but it was a pretty ugly sight, I would imagine, with Goliath's head still hanging from his horse. The ladies were there to greet Saul. However, the song they had already heard. They had already heard what David had done, and they were singing to Saul first, but then to David. David had killed his tens of thousands. You see, they had rained on Saul's parade, so to speak. Was David 10 times the man that I am? Maybe Saul was thinking that as he came into the town. And Saul became not just angry, it said that he became very angry. The kind of fury or intense anger that led Cain in Genesis 4:5 and Jacob's sons in Genesis 34:7 to kill. It caused Jonah to pout when Nineveh was spared in Jonah 4:1. The noticeable anger and recurring phrase